Today's video is going to be on this Abumatic. It's an Garcia Abumatic 280, and this is operational again. And the only reason it's operational is because I was able to go out and find the schematic for it. And this reel was missing some parts, so I had to kind of jumble some things together, take some parts. I took a part off of a Mitchell spinning reel off of the drag on it to try to make up for what was missing. Anyway, these are the parts that were missing. It was missing this spring right here, and it was missing this spring. Those are both springs, and it was missing them, which prevented it from being able to tighten down the drag enough to operate properly. So we're going to go through this, take it apart, and get it back together. And I'll walk you through the procedure. And this reel belongs to Don Tyson. He sent it to me. He was having difficulty with it and the 170. So, and both of them ended up missing parts. So we're going to take this apart, service it, and I'm hoping we're going to do it a little bit better than what I did on the 170. The 170 was a little disjointed. So what we're going to do, we're going to start off, take apart this top part right here. Then we're going to come over to this side, and we're going to take it apart just to get the cover off. We're going to take the cover off on this side, and that will allow us then to pull these C-clips over here. Once those are off, we can go ahead and disconnect this part and remove it. Once that's out, then we can take the rest of this side apart. Actually, we'll stop here. We'll come to here, take this side apart, then we'll come back over here and take this apart. So, if I was to draw circles around it, I think we would call this part 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So that's the method we're going to go about taking this apart, and we're going to put it back together in exactly that order. It'll be 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, let's see if we can get this done. I'm going to start off taking off the cover, and then we're going to remove the rotor assembly. Okay, with that done, we'll rotate this around. We'll bring this up to the top, and we should be able to turn it clockwise. Turn it clockwise. Once you get there, it should come off like so. Next part we're after is removing this side cover. All right, I'm going to take the bottom screw out first. Then I'm going to take out the top screw, because the top screw holds in the side plate and the button and the sleeve and the screw. All right, so you can see how that all works right there. Okay, that's how we're going to be putting it back together so that it fits in there. I wanted to keep it all together so you could see. All right, with that done, we're going to come back to this side, and we've got these two C-clips right here. And I have a screwdriver that's pretty well suited to taking these out. You want to be very careful taking these out that you don't pop them across the room and lose them. So you kind of keep a finger over them. Okay, that one came out real easy. All right, and we've got one on the other side. This one's a little harder because it's down inside a hole. I'll crank it up to the top a little bit so I can see it. All right, let's get onto that and see if we can't get it popped out. We did. All right, there goes the second C-clip. With those two C-clips out now, this assembly over here will slide off right like that. All right, with that done, we can now come back over here, and this guy's in the wrong position. It should be like that. And this is not tightened down all the way, and it's because I didn't want to crank it down all the way because I was going to be taking it back apart. But see how this fits like this? That's where you're going to want to put that back. And it's a little difficult to get a wrench down into here, but we're going to try to wrench that down a lot tighter than what it was. And that's part of the problem with things coming loose on this reel. So we're going to take care of that. But if you look back here, you've got this right here, and then you've got this side over here that once this is tightened, that's going to bend up to lock that in place. But I didn't want to do that because I knew we would be taking it back apart. So we're gonna undo the screw, come back over here so you can see what's going on the back side. And as you pull this out, that brass rod is going to slide out, and there comes that assembly out. Now comes your crosswind block. We're good to that point. Okay, so that's been portions so far. We've done 1, 2, 3, and 4. So now we're going to take this end apart, and that will then allow us to take this end apart. So we come back over here and take this off. Now, these are not the original parts for this. This is my creation that allows this to work. And what I did is I took a spring and a collar. These parts are out of other reels, and they do not belong there. There should be a spring there, but this piece shouldn't exist. But there should be a longer spring, and then there should be a spring washer, not like this, but a spring style washer that goes on. But these are what I was able to come up with to make this work. All right, so we're going to come over here. We're going to take this collar off, which then takes this handle off. Okay, so you got the handle, this, and if you look, this fits inside here like that. Okay, and then it goes on. Underneath here, we're going to have a washer. Then we're going to have this roller bearing assembly. And then we're going to have another washer, like so. And that's about as far as we can take it on this side. Okay, so now we're down to section 6, which is going to require us to slide this part out. This is your crankshaft. Let's see, let's go ahead and take all this out together if we can. So it's just one big stack. There we go. That one big stack came out like so. Now, inside here still is going to be this sleeve, and I believe that sleeve can actually go on either side. Okay, it will slide all the way through. Okay, yeah, it does. So there's that sleeve, but then we've left all of this into one stack right here. And the one piece missing off of it, let me show you, is the anti-reverse pawl right here. It didn't come out with it. When we lifted it, it stayed in place. All right, so we're going to take it out. Let's go ahead and take it out now. Okay, there's your anti-reverse pawl. And that brings us to this part, which is this washer, this anti-reverse cog, this bell washer, got the high side on this side over here, drag washer, main gear, second drag washer, and the crank. All right, the only other parts left are our brass washer over here, or our brass rod, which this one is secured in, and I'm not going to try to take that apart because it's working fine. But this is spring-loaded inside here. I never tried to take this apart. So, but it's spring-loaded inside there. It supposedly does come apart, but either my eyesight isn't good enough to see it. I have a feeling, see this pin right here? I have a feeling that pin is supposed to drive out in order to take this apart. But I don't see a need for that. It's working fine. As long as it is working fine, I would leave it together. And I think somebody would have to work really hard to try to take it apart. So I'm not going to worry too much about that. What we are going to do is put some oil down inside it. Both sides of it. And then we're going to put a few more drops of oil into this hole. There we go. Work it around a bit. And that part is ready to reinstall. All right, all these parts have already been previously cleaned, so we don't have to worry about that. So we're going to slide them over to the side, and we're going to start stacking this back together. All right, the first part that's going to go back in is going to be this sleeve. All right, let's go ahead and grease the sleeve. I'm going to use Cal's grease on these parts just because it's a little easier to see what's going on with it. So we're going to slide that sleeve in. Then we're going to take our crankshaft. We're going to put a little bit of drag washer grease on it because the drag washer is going to ride against it. It's going to ride in here on this, see the bright shiny part right here? It's going to ride on that. Now, if you look, there are springs right here, and those springs are your clicker for your drag. We're going to slide our drag washer in like so. Slide the crank in like so. Lubricate just a little bit the other side of this and install your backside drag washer. Then goes your bell washer like so. Then goes your click ratchet. And onto that is going to ride your anti-reverse. Okay, and it's going to go in like so. It will ride inside there, and it's going to go like this. So we're going to have to get that. Oh, this one is sprung out just a little bit, and that's probably why it didn't hold in place when we tightened it down. Okay, so if you look, see how wide the gap is there? There's no, it's not grabbing hold of that anymore. And if you take, this is something I have learned, but if you take a pair of needle nose pliers and just grab hold of the end of it and squeeze it, what happens is they're forced up against each other and it really doesn't bend much. But if you'll take and put one side on the back side and one on the front side so that you're bending this all the way over to the other one, to where it sits, it will tend to take a better bend. I'm having a little trouble holding on to it and tight enough. There we go. Ah, much better. There. Now, see how close they are together now? That's what we want. And now we're going to install that on this click ratchet. Like so. And it may be easier if you have the click ratchet off of the stack to get it to go on. I definitely got it tighter. There we go. Okay, and it's going to fit like that. Once you've got it on there, go ahead, slide it back on here. Might want to lift it out just a little bit so that when it slides in, and keep your finger on that sleeve in there because it's going to want to slide out. Now it will rotate one direction only. It should stop when it tries to anti-reverse, and it does. All right, got that part done. No, we don't, because we're missing a piece. Behind this click ratchet is supposed to be another washer for space. And I forgot and left it out. It's this one here. Okay, and if you look in the schematic, you'll see it. Okay, there's your click ratchet, there's that washer. That's the one I forgot to put in. That's why it's good to try to have your parts available where you can see them as you're putting it together so that you can see when you've missed something. All right, now slide it back in. There, went right on. Click ratchet's on. Slide that sleeve back in where it belongs. And anti-reverse is functioning. Okay, so item 6 is back together. Let's go back to item 5, which is going to be this assembly right here. This is where we go with our washer 1, our roller bearing, washer 2, and these washers, if you look at them, they've got a groove. At least these do. They've got a groove cut in them where those ride for that roller bearing. Then goes our handle. Okay, slide that down like so. On top of that now, I put these 2 washers, and the reason I put these 2 washers is because when I tried to go with just the spring was getting caught on the square of that boss. So I put that on there in its place. Now, granted, these are not the right parts, so yours are going to look different. You're going to have just a washer and a spring and this assembly. Those parts there were put in just to make up for what was missing on this reel. Okay, well, for now I'm gonna leave those washers out. Oh, I see what's happening. All right, when I go to put this in, this is sliding backwards. It's not catching. I got to hold that in place. All right, let's see which washers have I got here. I need this washer first, roller bearing, and this washer. Then the handle. There we go. I had to hold the shaft in. I wasn't doing so. Now, we're going to come back and reinstall the front end. Okay, remember we got this bend tab. And we've already bent this one. Somebody's bent this one before when they put it on. So what we're going to do, because you can, is we're going to flip it over the other way so that we're using the other side of the washer to bend it this time. Less likely to crack it. Okay, that part's going to slide in. Now you have to be careful when you slide it in because we have to reinstall this crosswind block. We're going to go ahead, lubricate the inside of the crosswind block and the gear assembly that it rides on. Then we'll set it back in place right here, like so. And let's go ahead and crank the handle around to where that's near the back, like so. Then we'll slide this in, slide that shaft through the middle of the crosswind block, and then start to screw it in. Everything has to align properly or it won't screw in. Like so. See how the gears are meshing now? Okay, but now we want to stop before we get too far because we've got to get this onto this post over here. There we go, like that. And go ahead and tighten it down. Now, I believe a 14mm wrench is what would fit that, but I don't know if we can get it down there. Yeah, we can. Okay. It doesn't want to fit very well, but it's on there. Okay. Once you've got that snugged up, you go ahead and bend this tab up like that, like so. And that would, well, I think I can actually finish that off better with a pair of needle nose. There we go. Like so. That'll keep that from unscrewing out of there. Okay, make sure that we're still winding, and we are. It's all doing fine. All right, now it's it's time to put this assembly back in from the front. And we'll go ahead and put some grease on that. You know what, before we do that, let's go ahead and grease the main gear and the pinion gear, so that, because it's easier to get to them right now than it will be once we put that crosswind assembly back in. Okay, rotate it around a little bit. You only want the grease to be on the gear portion. You don't want a ton of grease in there. All right. Now, if you're in this position and you're cranking around and you feel it catch a little bit, that's okay. It's catching a little bit because the crosswind block hasn't been locked in yet with this front assembly. Okay, so let's go ahead, slide that in. That's strange. The posts are not going past the end. There, I just needed to wiggle it. Okay. Bring this down now so that we can get these C-clips back on. And these are the worst part of the whole assembly, is trying to get these C-clips back in there. Okay, there's the first one. The second one I'm slipping in with the hemostats. If you want to see a little closer, I'll bring you in a little closer. Okay, slide that into place. And then take my screwdriver and lock it into place. There we go. And everything's right and smooth. Okay, so now that part's back together. We can go ahead and put this side plate back on. Now, when you do this, you may want to go ahead, take this apart for a moment, and put some grease in there and inside there, just to allow this to slide easier. Okay. Once you got all that where it belongs, take this and hook it behind there, and you're ready to bring it over and slip it back into place, like so. Don't tighten it all the way down yet. Now, I find it easier to turn this upside down to find this bottom hole. I think it, nope, was in it. As soon as I move my finger, it let go. There we go. Because you want to look at it and you'll see it will go, when it's perfectly straight, it will screw in. Now it's time to put our spool back on, bring it over. These two studs here are going to fit into these and then rotate counterclockwise to lock in, like that. Now, you're going to want to lube this, which I haven't done yet. Let's go ahead and clean it out just a little bit. There we go. I'll put a little grease there. And then I'm going to put a little oil up here under the front side where this slides against the case, so that it can manage better. And once I got it slid over, I think I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit right there. Okay, go ahead and screw this back on. Now you're going to get to this point where it's going to stop. It just keeps turning and turning. Once you've got there, stop and go ahead and crank your handle tighter, and that will tighten that up. Okay. Go ahead and feed some line through. Like so. see what kind of drag we got. We got way too tight a drag. Let's loosen it up some. Still too tight. There we go. Nice drag. Tighten it up. Yep. Okay, let's see. Does the anti-reverse work? Yes, it does. Does the click button work? Let's go ahead and zoom this out a little bit. Does the click button work? Yes, it does. Okay. And there you have the ABU Garcia Abumatic 280 spinning reel. I hope you like what you saw here today. If you did, please hit the like button. If you didn't, that's okay. Hit the dislike button. Tell me what you didn't like. And tell you what, let's put that numbering down on the bottom so you don't have to look at it. There you go. I don't know if he wanted that on there or not, so I'm not taking it off. There you go. If you'd like to see more videos like this, please hit the subscribe button. And for now, that's Rick Stivers of YoungMartin'sReels, signing out.